This summer, we first told you about the case of an Austin driver sentenced to state jail after hitting and killing a person crossing the street. The Travis County District Attorney's Office says it was the first case to be prosecuted under a new state law making it a crime to kill or hurt someone in a crosswalk. Department of Public Safety data shows since the law went into effect almost 3 years ago, there have been 34 arrests across Texas, with 7 leading to convictions.
But people across the state have reached out to KXAN investigator Arzo Dost, concerned with the law's broader implementation.
And who was driving? All right, so what happened?
Was driving this way, but by the sun, we didn't see her.
In this police body cam video, a driver tries to explain to officers what happened at this Dallas neighborhood crosswalk.
It was the sun, so we didn't see her. Well, I didn't see her.
Police say he struck Krystal Morris at the four-way stop with his pickup.
And I just had both hands out in front of me, and the front of the car hit my hands, and I fell back, landed on my head.
Here she is on police body cam at the hospital, talking to an officer and a doctor.
My head is killing me.
It happened more than 2 years ago, as Morris says she was walking her dog, Rudy, near her apartment.
I remember thinking, he's not stopping, he's not stopping.
Morris says she spent 3 days in the hospital with a skull fracture, brain bleed, and severe concussion. She explained she had weeks of speech and physical therapy.
I'll still have some symptoms. I'll struggle with my speech, and I'll have other symptoms related to my brain injury.
There's now a law that went into effect in September 2021 and requires drivers to stop for a pedestrian or cyclist in a crosswalk. If there's serious injury or death, drivers could be held criminally responsible and even face jail time. But we've learned it's not that simple. Since we started covering concerns about the lack of enforcement of the law, we've heard from families across Texas who are pushing for arrests and charges to be filed in their cases.
My mother was killed in downtown Houston, happened about 12:30 in the afternoon during her lunch break. She was killed crossing the street while using a crosswalk.
My son was ran over. He was 14. I don't want my son's life to be in vain.
My mom had the signal to walk, and then she made it halfway across before a pickup truck turned into her.
Fort Bend County in the Houston area is where the push for the law started. The act named after Lisa Torrey Smith, a mother who was struck and killed there, crossing the street with her son in a school zone in 2017. The Fort Bend County DA's office has become an unofficial hub for questions about the law and enforcement.
The biggest hurdle that we have seen so far is being able to say, does this rise to the level of criminal negligence?
What are the challenges to proving criminal negligence?
It is very fact specific. We have to be able to prove that under this law that the driver was aware that there was a substantial risk, a pedestrian, a bicyclist, someone on a scooter, to be in their pathway, right? And that they disregarded that and drove through there anyway.
Back in Dallas, Morris says she'd given up on justice in her case. She says she wasn't getting anywhere with the Dallas Police Department.
I tried to move on.
Until
I saw your story.
The story we told back in January featured Citizens for Road Safety Texas, a nonprofit making sure the law is enforced. It's led by Lisa Torrey Smith's family. More than 2 years after Morris was injured, the organization got Dallas police to take a closer look at her case, and she's told it's been sent to a grand jury.
I had a moment of relief, and it felt like something that I had been carrying with me for 2 years in the back of my head, constantly thinking about, because I'm constantly experiencing some of the symptoms.
She's back to taking her walks.
Come on, Rudy.
With Rudy right by her side. She says, luckily, the pickup missed him.
I feel like he needs to be held accountable, and he needs to be charged with what he did to me.
The crash report in her case says the driver did get a ticket that day for not having a license. I've tried to reach him, but he's not responded to any of my messages. The Dallas County DA's office says it can't comment on grand jury referrals. Now, we did bring concerns about enforcement of the law here to the Capitol. Senator Joan Huffman, who authored the legislation, says it's concerning hearing about the challenges of the law and promises after our questions leading up to the next legislative session, her office will study this public safety issue to see if any changes are necessary. The next session starts in January. At the Capitol, Arzo Dost, KXAN Investigates.
And advocates say the law is written clearly and the failure to stop for a person crossing the street is criminal negligence and drivers should be aware of the risks. Now, Arzo has been tracking the latest with the other cases you heard about across the state.
And she just obtained the 911 audio recording from the first case prosecuted in Austin we mentioned. You can listen to a clip from that call and read other case details in this story online in the investigative section of KXAN.com.